So here we are in my garage. My buddy asked me to tune up his snowblower so he's good to go for the winter. A winter full of blowing snow. So we're going to tune this thing up today. We're going to start by firing it up, getting it warmed up so that the oil drain properly. So let's get this thing outside and fire it up.
So we're running the snowblower first to do a couple of things. Establish whether or not it runs, and if it runs, does everything function? Are all the shear pins intact? Does the snowblower operate as it should? The other thing that we're doing by running the snowblower first is we're also warming up the oil. By warming up the oil, it'll help the oil to flow out of the engine a little bit easier, in addition to having the contaminants in the motor oil suspended in the oil for when we drain it.
All right, so our oil drain is right here, and of course the wheel's in the way. So we're going to just quickly pull this wheel off and jack it up on this side. And our drain pan. Oil's fully drained. Put the plug back in. And be sure this wheel comes back off the next time we gotta do this. We're gonna put a little grease on this on the axle. It was a little sticky getting that off of there. Add some fresh oil. Got my high-tech funnel here. Some fresh Earl. Man, I think I nailed it. Let's check one more time. Nailed it. All right, a little less than a quart. All right, so we're gonna pull the spark plug on this thing, give it a clean up. That is, if we can get a wrench on it. A little carboned up, but we'll be able to clean that up. All right, so this is Blaster's small engine tune-up. It's designed to remove carbon and deposits from your combustion chamber. You can also spray it through the air cleaner to help clean out the carburetor and the intake runners. But it's recommended that we spray it right inside the spark plug hole. What this is going to do is get down into the piston rings and into their lands and help remove any deposits that might be in there, and help loosen up those rings so that they can expand to the cylinder and increase any lost compression. While that's doing its soaking thing, we're going to take this spark plug over to our wire wheel and give it a clean up.
A stiff wire brush will do the exact same thing as a wire wheel. It's just manual, and it's going to take you a little bit longer to get the same result.
This spark plug's in remarkably good condition for having 6 seasons on it. I don't see any reason to do anything else than what we just did. we got that small engine tune-up fluid sitting in there in the cylinder. It's doing its thing. It's getting there, penetrating into the deposits of accumulated around the piston rings. We're going to leave that in there. When we fire it up, you're going to see a bunch of white smoke come out of the exhaust port, and that is the small engine tune-up being burned off and all the deposits going out the exhaust port with it. So we'll reinstall this spark plug and get to a few other minor things before we fire this back up. Get our plug wire, ignition wire hooked back up, and we are good to go. All right, so we put this thing up on its face to better access the underside of this thing. We're going to remove this cover so we can inspect the belts for their condition and their tension. These look a little rusty, so we are going to apply a little PB to these bolts. And we'll start pulling these bolts out of here. Bunch of crud. So there's a few things in here that need to be lubricated. This big ring gear should get some lubrication. This speed selector also slides in the shafts. We're going to spray the shaft. We're going to get some lubricant on the gear. So spray in here. And this stuff will distribute itself pretty well as it spins. All right, and because we got some overspray, this rubber wheel here spins on this disc and relying on friction, so we don't want to lubricate that. We want that to be oil free. So we will spray that with some brake cleaner. Just give that a good clean. Making sure we gain that grease overspray off of this. So it is ready to go. All right, pretty satisfied with that. Yeah, piece of cake.
Put it back on there. Don't worry, I'll edit all that out. Now, as we were putting this bottom plate back on, we also added a little bit of grease to the threads on all these fasteners. That way it'll keep these fasteners from seizing in place, and when you go to do this service in the future, it's going to ensure that those fasteners come out much easier.
All right. So we've put this thing back on its wheels, and we're going to lubricate the gearbox. A lot of gearboxes take oil. This one takes a Zerk fitting on it, so it takes grease. So we're going to fill this thing up with some fresh grease. All right, now I have some grease coming out the back shaft deck here, so we've got enough in there. That is lubricated. All right, and to ensure that this thing doesn't get all rusty enough, we're going to coat these highly susceptible areas to rust. We're going to spray them with our surface shield, just to give it a little layer of protection. Looks like these cast iron castings over here already started to rust. We'll get a little bit extra on those. And then these tines. Digging this nice cedar fragrance we put in this product. And then the chute. Just a good heavy coating surface shield to get that done. All right, we're gonna check the tire pressure on this. Snowblowers don't usually have much air. This one's reading like nothing. The tire says they aired up to max of 20. I think that's probably a little excessive. We're gonna go with 15. I think we're pretty much good to go. We're gonna fire this thing back up, make sure everything runs right. And you can expect a bunch of smoke, as I said earlier, when we applied that small engine tune-up. Well, thanks for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe.